The main challenger to Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is Isaac Herzog. His center-left alliance is poised to take up to 26 seats in the Knesset, compared to maybe 22 seats expected for Netanyahu's Likud party. Netanyahu, trailing in the polls, used the hilltop of a Jewish settlement in the occupied West Bank as his final campaign backdrop. "Come home to Likud," he told his disaffected right-wing voters.
All right, let's get to work on the Israeli elections. Welcome to MidPoint, an Israeli diplomat and politician. He has served in the nation's foreign service for over 20 years, most recently as Deputy Foreign Minister from 2008 to 2012, Danny Ayalon, and research fellow at the Institute for National Security Studies at Tel Aviv University, Dr. Azriel Bermant. Gentlemen, I want to thank you both for joining us today.
My pleasure.
Danny, let me go ahead and begin with you. Benjamin Netanyahu says no to Palestinian statehood if he is reelected. He is putting on as much of a push as he possibly can in the last few hours. Will it work, or do you believe that truly the people of Israel have tired of his leadership?
Well, I would say the elections right now, they seem to be on the economy, the housing problem, the cost of living. So I'm not sure it will make much of a dent overall. But I think what Bibi Netanyahu is trying to do is actually take away votes from the right wing, from Naftali Bennett and other right-wing parties. So he will not trail too badly after Isaac Herzog, so this will better his chances to form the next coalition.
How could he have miscalculated so badly? I mean, this is a professional politician here. He knows the ins and outs, things that he does, things that work and things that don't. Yet it seems that by coming to America and taking that hard stand, he badly misstepped.
Well, it is true. I think he made a big gamble on foreign affairs and security, where he has the lead and he has the advantage. I think that the speech in Congress was a huge gambit, and indeed, after the speech, he went up. So there was a blip in the polls when he went up 2 points, but immediately afterwards, he went down almost 6. So at least until yesterday, we don't have polls today, we saw that the left of center, Isaac Herzog, was leading between 2 and 4 points. And I think it's reminiscent of 1992 elections here in the United States between Bill Clinton and George Bush, the 41st president, where it was all about the economy, stupid as it was turned then. So I think it's all over again now, and we will have to wait and see how things unfold. In 2 hours, we'll have the exit poll.
Dr. Bermant, let me ask you, because here, first of all, is a quote from Benjamin Netanyahu talking about Palestine. He says, quote, "I think that anyone who moves to establish a Palestinian state and evacuate territory is just giving territory away to radical Islamist attacks against Israel." Many people would say, absolutely, we need to stay focused on Palestine. But let me ask you, from the ground, are people there tired of this? Do they want to be more concerned, though, about their daily lives and the daily economy instead of this?
Well, I'd like to say I agree with Danny Ayalon's what he said about the fact that the Israeli public, it's mainly about the economy, and I do think that the people are getting tired of Netanyahu's excessive, focus on security, and people, are worried about the cost of living, the problem, the shortage of housing. It's just incredibly difficult to people are really worried about getting through the month. To some degree, I agree with Dan Ayalon that Netanyahu's focus on the Palestinian state, the fact that he's gone out strongly against a Palestinian state is partly to get votes from his more right-wing the parties.
But people are still concerned about the Palestinians, right? They just want to be more concerned about the economy and their day-to-day living.
Yes, look, having said that, Netanyahu, 6 years ago, he was a record on saying that he accepted the idea of a Palestinian state. Now he's, I personally was skeptical whether he ever was ready to accept the idea of a Palestinian state.
All right, do me a favor, if you will. Hold that thought, because we're right up against a break. I want to come back and I want to pick up right there with you, because when we return, let's also discuss the Barack Obama effect and the effect on a war-torn region and the effect on a certain group of American lawmakers who decided to cast their line with Benjamin Netanyahu. That and so much more coming up as MidPoint continues. Welcome back to MidPoint. Israeli diplomat and politician, served in the nation's foreign service for over 20 years, most recently Deputy Foreign Minister Danny Ayalon, and research fellow at the Institute for National Security Studies at Tel Aviv University, Dr. Azriel Bermant. Dr. Bermant, I wanted to get back to you very briefly, if you will, when you talked about the fact that Benjamin Netanyahu has changed his stance on the Palestinians. He's flipped on that. Is it simply just a matter of fact that people in Israel don't trust him anymore?
I think people are increasingly distrustful of, for example, the issue of Iran looked, the way he acted and the risked damage Israel's relations with the United States. That's something, he broke a golden rule. Israel's relationship with the United States is a vital strategic relationship. I think people increasingly distrust him. They're just at a time, as I said, when there's so many economic difficulties.
Dr. Bermant, let me get to you on this. Actually, I just did, but Minister Ayalon, let me ask you with regard to Isaac Herzog. If indeed he becomes the next prime minister, will anything really change in the relationship with America, or is that so deeply rooted at this point that it really is very ingrained in how the two countries deal with each other?
Well, I believe that the alliance between Israel and the United States it's a natural one, and it really runs very deep and very wide on a full spectrum of technology, intelligence, defense, economy, and many, many other things. So this will not change. However, of course, the relationship at the top is certainly some kind of a barometer, and whether it is Isaac Herzog or even Bibi Netanyahu again, I think that there will be no escape of coming to Washington, having a four-eye meeting with the president, if it's Bibi, ironing out the differences, and certainly putting aside any personal sentiments, because the responsibility and their obligation is to move ahead, and to move ahead together is really the best interest for national security. It will save lives, both Israeli and American.
Minister Ayalon, if indeed there is a change, how do you see things changing overall in the regional security with regard to Israel? Will anything change? Less secure, more secure, in your opinion?
Well, I'm not sure that anything really changed, because no matter what Israel does, it takes two to make peace, only one to make war. And we have had this experience in the past where Palestinians with the most, I would say, moderate or left-wing Israeli leaders, that they give far-reaching offers which were not accepted. I'm not sure that Mr. Herzog can do more than what Ehud Olmert did in 2008 in Annapolis, or Ehud Barak in maybe 2000. So I'm not sure that maybe there will be a new jumpstart of a negotiation, maybe with a better atmosphere. But whether we can reach something concrete, I think it's still very, very elusive.
Dr. Bermant, let me ask you this then. And along that line of thinking, is it possible that Benjamin Netanyahu is part of the roadblock to peace? That maybe indeed if he does step down, if he is defeated, that maybe things could get a little easier for Israel? Well,
it's not so straightforward. On the one hand, Netanyahu is an obstacle because of his settlement building policies, which prevent any possibility of a viable Palestinian state. On the other hand, the question is also on the Palestinian side, does Mahmoud Abbas really want to reach an agreement with Israel? Does he have the courage? Does he, there's a part of me that wonders whether he's hoping that Netanyahu wins the election, because that way he doesn't have to make difficult decisions. If Herzog were to win, I think that would put him, there would be greater expectation for him to move. I think that the fact is, I think if Herzog were to become prime minister, a lot of the damaging policies that Netanyahu has carried out would end, Israel would stop building settlements outside of the main settlement blocks.
Dr. Bermant, let me ask you this. I only have about 40, 50 seconds left. I want to ask you both. First of all, to you, 20 seconds. Your feeling on the ground today with regard, the polls, of course, are still open. Do you think Benjamin Netanyahu will survive?
Well, if you ask me, I would say that probably the best chances is for national unity, where both serve in the government as a prime minister and deputy prime minister, maybe with a rotation. So chances are that we will still see Bibi Netanyahu at the head.
All right, Dr. Bermant, your opinion as to what you see today so far?
Well, the problem is that even if Herzog were to come out ahead, the question is whether he'll be able to form a coalition government. And Netanyahu might have more partners to form a coalition with. So that's a question. It may take a few days until we know what the situation is.
Either way,
it could well be. We could end up with a national U2 coalition government, but that wouldn't necessarily be a good thing, though.
Either way, things are going to change regardless. It'll be interesting to watch in the next few days. Danny Ayalon, I want to thank you. Dr. Azriel Bermant, I want to thank you as well. Gentlemen, we appreciate your time. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, it is your money. So let's ask you a simple question, taxpayer. What was your money doing in the hands of Al-Qaeda? That and so much more when MidPoint continues.